Welcome to HFY Codex. If you love epic sci-fi stories where humanity shines, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for thrilling HFY adventures. Join us and be part of the journey. The arrival at Unity Station. Captain Elias stepped out of the shuttle onto Unity Station, a massive space hub floating silently between galaxies. It was built by many alien species as a place of peace, trade, and strange meetings. Elias looked around with wonder, his eyes moving over shining walls, floating bots, and strange signs in unknown languages. As the only human diplomat sent from Earth, he had a simple mission: learn, talk, and avoid starting any trouble. But trouble had already noticed him long before he arrived from the high balconies above. Two sets of alien eyes followed his every step. One pair belonged to Leora, a pale-skinned girl from the crystal-minded planet Ivaner. She was calm, logical, and spoke in soft, perfect words. She believed humans were primitive but interesting. Elias was her personal research project, but she had not expected to feel anything for him. The second pair of eyes burned with fire. They belonged to Zarai, a golden-skinned warrior princess from the fierce world of Rovax. She believed in strength, in fire, in action, and when she saw Elias, she felt something she never felt before. She didn't understand it, so she called it a challenge, one she would win. Elias, unaware of the storm he had walked into, moved through the corridors with his datapad. He was tired from the long trip and just wanted to check into his room. But everywhere he went, he felt eyes on him. Later that evening, as he entered the peaceful gardens of the station, he heard soft footsteps behind him. He turned, surprised to see Leora standing there, dressed in elegant silver robes that shimmered like glass. "Captain Elias," she said, bowing politely, "I have studied your culture, and I bring gifts." She opened a small case. Inside were tiny floating crystals, each glowing with warm light. "Memory crystals," she explained. "They store dreams, thoughts, and emotions. Would you like one?" Elias smiled. "That's amazing. Thank you." But before he could say more, the air shifted. Heat rolled through the garden like a wave. A sharp voice rang out. "He doesn't need your shiny toys." It was Zarli standing tall with her. Wild hair and glowing eyes, she walked up with bold steps, carrying a rare blade made of sunsteel. "I challenge anyone who tries to take this mail from me," she said, her voice full of fire. Elias blinked. "Take me." "Wait, what?" Leora looked at Zarali, her voice cool. "This human accepted my gift, which, by Ivanari law, means a bonding has started." Zarali laughed. "Bonding?" He didn't even know what that meant. "I claimed him first by scent and presence." Scent and presence. Elias muttered to himself, confused and nervous. He tried to step back, but the two girls stepped forward, standing on either side of him, both beautiful in their own alien ways, both refusing to leave. "You must choose," Leora said calmly. "No, he doesn't," Zarali growled. "He chooses me." "I didn't choose anyone," Elias said quickly, raising his hands. "I didn't even know there were rules." At that moment, a soft alert came from the station AI. "Please avoid causing physical conflict in the garden area." Both girls backed off, but their eyes never left each other. "I will see you tomorrow, Captain," Leora said softly, turning and walking away. Zarel stepped closer, her voice low. "Don't let the glass doll fool you. Human, she's not strong enough to handle someone like you." Then she left too, disappearing into the shadows. Elias stood alone in the garden, still holding the memory crystal. He looked at it, then looked at the stars above. What in the stars just happened? He whispered. Later that night, he returned to his room, locked the door, and sat on his bed. He tried to think, but before he could rest, his door alert beeped twice. He checked the screen. Leora and Zarli, both standing outside. At the same time, "I need to talk," Leora said. I'm not leaving until he talks to me. Zarely said. Elias put his head in his hands. This is not what I trained for, he muttered, and the door slowly opened. A human caught in alien customs. Elias stood between two alien girls, both refusing to leave his room. Leora sat calmly on the edge of the sofa, legs crossed, hands folded. Zarali leaned against the wall with crossed arms, tapping her foot impatiently. This is not a war zone, Elias said, holding up both hands. It's my room, Zarl smirked. Not anymore. Leora blinked slowly. I agree. It's now the center of a cultural misunderstanding. Elias sighed and sat down. I need you both to explain what's happening. Like I'm a clueless earthling, Leora gave a small nod. In my culture, offering a memory crystal and receiving it without refusal begins a formal bonding request. You mean a date? Elias asked. No, Leora replied. A life partner contract. Zarli snorted. Her people use contracts and logic. My people use fire and instinct. She stepped closer when I touched your shoulder and shared breath with you on the shuttle. It was a mark of first claim. I thought you were just close talking, Elias muttered. Leora leaned forward. You accepted both of our approaches, which makes this difficult. You mean dangerous, Zarali growled. Her eyes glowing slightly, Elias rubbed his temples. So what happens now? You must choose, Leora said. I already did choose, Zarli snapped. He's mine. Elias stood up quickly. Okay, stop. I'm not a trophy. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. You both seem amazing, in very different, slightly terrifying ways, but I'm not ready to bond with anyone. There was a long pause. Then Leora spoke softly. Your refusal may cause shame to my house, Zarali added. And if I back down, I'll lose honor. In my clan, wait, you're saying if I don't pick one of you, there'll be political fallout? Elias asked, shocked. They both nodded. Unity Station's peace depended on keeping every alien culture happy. If Elias offended both royal bloodlines, things could go very wrong, very fast. The next day, Elias met with the station commander, an old reptilian being with 4 eyes and a love for human soap operas. I can't believe this is real, Elias said. Pacing the office, it is real. The commander said with a slow blink and quite entertaining, this is not a game. Elias replied. The commander shrugged. To them, it's sacred ritual. To us, it's the best drama this station's seen in years. Elias left the office with no help and even more stress. By now, the story had spread across the station. Aliens stared at him wherever he went, some amused, some curious, and some whispering about the human who broke hearts. In the food court, he sat alone, trying to eat something that looked like a glowing cube of jelly. Suddenly, a group of young aliens approached with recording drones. Is it true both princesses are fighting over you? Who do you love more? Will there be a wedding? Elias stood up and left quickly. His appetite gone, back in his room, he found a surprise waiting. A bouquet of floating flowers glowing softly in the air. A gift from Leora. Next. To them, a blade made of fire metal, with his name carved into it. A gift from Zaral. Both gifts meant the same thing. A final step toward marriage. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the items. How did this happen? He whispered. Just last week, he was excited about a peaceful trip. Now, he was trapped between a logical crystal girl and a fiery warrior woman. Then, an idea sparked in his mind. What if he didn't choose either of them? What if he chose both? It was crazy. Impossible. No alien had ever dared such a thing. Their cultures would never accept it. But it was the only way he could avoid hurting both. And maybe, just maybe, create something new. The doorbell rang again. Both girls were back again, this time with serious expressions. Elias took a deep breath. All right, he said, standing tall. I have something to say to both of you." They looked at him, silent, waiting. He stepped forward and spoke. "What if I told you? I don't want to pick one of you." Zarali's eyes narrowed. "So you pick no one?" Leora tilted her head. "That would cause dishonor to both houses." "No," Elias said calmly. "I don't pick one. I pick both." The room went completely still. Even the air felt frozen. Two alien girls stared at one human man. He had just shattered every rule they had ever known. Zarali challenges the Banjarali's silence was louder than any shout. Her golden eyes locked on Elias, her jaw tight, her fists clenched. "You want to share me?" Elias asked again, nervous but standing his ground. "I want peace," he added, "and I want to respect you both, but I can't lie to either of you." Leora was quiet, her expression unreadable. Zarali finally spoke, her voice sharp like a blade. "In my culture, there is no sharing," she said slowly. "A mate must earn his right to stand beside me, and how do I do that?" Elias asked carefully. She turned to him, eyes glowing with fire. "Trial by combat," she said. Elias blinked. "Wait, what?" "You will fight," Zarali continued. "Not me, but a warrior chosen by my clan. If you win, you prove strength and courage. If you lose, you return to Earth and forget this ever happened." "That's insane," Elias said, stepping back. "I'm not a soldier. I'm a diplomat." Zarali's face softened, just a little. "Then prove that words are stronger than weapons," she said. "Convince my people, or survive their challenge." Leora finally spoke, her voice cool and calm. "Such trials are primitive," she said, "but if the human completes it, I will accept the shared bond." Elias stared at her, surprised. "You would accept this?" "I do not want to," she replied, "but I want to see if he is worthy of both of us the next day." Elias stood in the grand arena of Ravax. Thousands of alien warriors sat in a circle, watching with curious eyes. Some laughed, others looked confused. Why would a human enter the firing? Zarali's chosen warrior stood across from Elias, a tall beast of a man with sharp teeth and armor made from lava beasts. Elias wore only light armor and a translator on his ear. He held a shock staff, more for balance than for battle. The fight began. Elias ducked the first swing, rolled to the side, and barely dodged a second strike. The crowd roared with laughter and cheers. He wasn't trying to win, he was trying to survive. Zarali watched from above, her heart pounding. This wasn't just a test for Elias, it was a test of her own feelings. Would she respect a man who refused violence, or only one who could fight like her people? Elias used his speed, his brain, and clever tricks. He led the warrior into a trap, a slipping spot on the sand floor. The massive alien fell hard. Groaning in pain, Elias pointed the staff at him, but didn't strike. "I win," he said, "not by beating you, but by outsmarting you." The crowd went silent. Then slowly, one by one, they began to clap. Not all approved, but some saw something new in him. Even the warrior who lost stood up and gave Elias a nod. Later, in the fire halls, Zarali approached Elias. "You didn't fight like us," she said, "but you showed strength in your own way." Elias smiled, breathing hard. "I thought I was going to die." Zarali laughed, a deep, wild laugh. "Then maybe you're brave enough after all," she said. But Leora had her own challenge. "My people will not accept this union unless you complete our test," she said. Elias sighed. "Another test?" "This one won't break your bones," she said, "but it might break your mind." Back at Unity Station, whispers spread like wildfire. The human had survived the firing. Now he was going to the ice gardens of Ivanur. No human had ever been there before, but hidden in the shadows of the station. Others were watching. Not all species wanted unity. Not everyone wanted peace between the royal houses. And someone or something had placed a silent bomb under Unity Station's central core. While Elias prepared for his next test, danger was quietly building, and the fate of more than just 3 hearts was about to be tested. The proposal that changed the stars. Elias had never seen anything like the ice gardens of Ivanor. They floated in frozen silence, glowing blue and white under a glass dome. Crystal trees shimmered in the light, their leaves chiming like music when touched by wind. Everything here felt cold, not just the air, but the minds that built it. Leora walked ahead of him in a silver gown, quiet and graceful. Her face showed no emotion, but her eyes were sharp, watching his every step. "This is the core of reason," she said, pointing toward a glowing platform. "You must complete the trial. Of logic, solve what cannot be solved." Elias blinked. "You're testing me with a puzzle." Leora nodded. "The one who solves the unending equation proves not just intelligence, but unity of heart and mind." Elias stepped into the circle and looked at the crystal console. Strange symbols lit up, floating in the air, shifting like stars. He had no training in alien math, but he had something else: human instinct. He closed his eyes and remembered patterns, stories, even songs from Earth. He looked deeper, not with numbers, but with meaning. Then he did something number Ivanari had ever dared. He rewrote the equation using emotion, not logic. He turned it into a message. Love is not division, it is multiplication. The crystals pulsed, the console turned golden. A soft chime echoed through the garden, and the trees began to glow. Leora gasped, for the first time showing real shock. You changed the formula," she whispered. "No," Elias said softly. "I just showed it a new path." She stepped closer, looking at him differently now. "Your way is not ours," she said. "But it is not wrong." Back at Unity Station, the news spread again. The human had passed both trials. Now the big question echoed across the stars. Would the bond be accepted by both alien cultures? Elias stood on the bridge of the station, staring out the wide window at space. Beside him stood Leora and Zarali, 2 worlds apart, yet now connected by him. "I never wanted to cause war," Elias said. "I just wanted peace." Zarali crossed her arms. "You wanted both of us and peace," Leora added. "Which is impossible unless the impossible becomes real." Elias turned to face them, took a deep breath, and spoke. "I love both of you in different ways," he said. "Leora, you make me feel calm and curious, Zarali. You make me feel alive and fearless." The 2 girls exchanged a long look. They had hated each other once, rivals from birth, but now, standing here, both could see the truth. They had changed because of him, and maybe even because of each other. Leora spoke first. "My people will not accept this bond." Zaral added, "Neither will mine." Elias stepped forward. "Then let us create something new. A third path, a bond not of blood, but of choice." He reached into his coat and pulled out 2 rings, one crafted from Ivanari crystal, the other from Ravak's fire metal. He had spent nights creating them in secret with the help of Unity's Forge Masters. He knelt before both, holding out the rings. "I don't ask for ownership," he said. "I ask for unity, not just between us, but between your people." Zarali stared at her ring, then at Leora. Leora looked down in silence, then finally met Zarali's gaze. "What if this works?" she asked. Zarali smiled slowly. "Then we burn the stars with our story." They each took a ring, slid them onto their fingers, and placed one on Elias's hand too. It was not just a marriage, it was the birth of something the galaxy had never seen. As they stood together, hand in hand, far away in the shadows of the station, the bomb silently armed itself. A figure cloaked in shadow watched from the vents, whispering, "If love unites them, then war will tear them apart." The celebration was coming, but so was destruction. And Elias didn't know yet, his greatest test was still waiting. Trials of the Heart Captain Elias stood in silence as the cold winds of Ivanhoe brushed across his face. Even through the insulated suit, he could feel the chill deep in his bones. Leora walked beside him, her crystal blue eyes calm yet watching him carefully. This was her world, a land of logic, silence, and endless ice. "This trial is not for war," she said softly. "It is for wisdom. You must fix the broken heart of the archive." They reached a tower made of living crystal, taller than any Earth skyscraper. Inside, the light shifted like water, and the walls whispered in forgotten languages. The Avenary Archive was not just a building, it was a living mind. Its core had become corrupted, and no Avenary had been able to repair it. "You may fail," Leora warned, "and it may reject you." Elias entered the chamber. Where floating shards of memories spun like stars, he reached out. His fingers brushing against one, it showed an old war. Another shard showed a child crying alone in the snow. Another, a figure standing under stars, waiting forever. He realized these were not just memories, they were feelings. Leora's people had stored every lost moment, every hidden pain, but they had locked their emotions away. Calling it logic, the archive was breaking because it had been silent for too long. Elias did something no Ivanari had done in centuries. He sat down and spoke to the archive. He told it stories of Earth, of love, of mistakes, of hope. He played soft music from a small Earth device in his pocket. And slowly, the spinning shards slowed. The lights grew warmer, and the whispering stopped. The archive pulsed once, then opened a door only the worthy could pass. Leora watched from afar, her hands shaking slightly. No Ivanari had ever unlocked that door, not even her. She felt something shift in her heart for the first time. She didn't just admire Elias, she trusted him. Days later, Elias stood in the heat of Ravax, sweat rolling down his back. He now faced his second trial, this time in the wild jungle pits of Zorali's homeworld. Unlike Ivanor, Ravax was alive, burning, wild and dangerous. Zorali handed him a spear carved from obsidian bone. "You don't need to win," she said, "but you need to try." The ritual was simple. Survive a hunt. Not of animals, but of truth. He would be chased by warriors, not to kill, but to test his fear. Every strike missed would mark respect. Every bruise a lesson. The jungle was loud, full of cries, thumps, and burning leaves. Elias ran, dodged, slipped, fought back when needed, but one moment changed everything. He came face to face with a beast. Not part of the trial, it was. A wild predator, forgotten by time and hungry, without thinking. Elias stepped between it and one of the young Ravaxi warriors. He raised his spear and shouted. Drawing the beast's attention, it attacked, slashing his arm, but he stood firm. Just as the beast leaped again, Zarli dropped from a tree and drove her blade into its neck. Blood steamed on the ground, and silence followed. Zarl turned to Elias. Her breath heavy. "You are a fool," she said. "But a brave one," later. As she cleaned his wound by firelight, Zarali didn't speak for a long time. Then, she whispered, "You risked your life for one of mine." He nodded. They were in danger. "You could have died," she said, "but I didn't." He replied with a weak smile. She stared at him, then leaned in and rested her forehead against his. "You're not just mine anymore," she said. "You are ours." As Elias returned to Unity Station, both trials behind him, he felt something different. He had earned their respect, not with strength or logic alone, but with something even rarer among the stars' heart. But peace is fragile, hidden deep in the lower levels of the station. A figure moved in the shadows, a blinking red light counted down silently. The bomb was armed. A message was sent in a secret language to unknown receivers. The human has united them. We strike during the celebration. Above, Elias held hands with both Leora and Zarali. They looked out the window toward the stars, hopeful, trusting, unaware that something deadly waited just beneath their feet. Enemies. Of Peace Unity Station had never seen such a celebration. Alien banners floated in the air, food from 50 worlds lined the halls, and music echoed in strange but joyful tones. At the center of it all stood Elias, dressed in a mix of Earth formal. Where? Ravixi leather and Ivanari crystal silk. On either side stood Leora and Zarali. Proud and calm, each wearing symbols of their people and of their bond with him. The announcement of the first shared human-alien union between rival empires had reached every star channel. Some called it a miracle, others called it madness. But few knew the truth that beneath the station's polished floors, something dark was ticking. In a maintenance tunnel far below, a cloaked figure crawled. Through wires and shadows, they connected one last wire, pressed a small device, and smiled coldly. Unity dies tonight. They whispered before vanishing into the dark. Above, Elias walked through the crowd, shaking hands, smiling, but something was off. He noticed a technician nervously checking a control panel. Again and again, the lights flickered once. Not enough to draw panic, but enough to feel wrong. Leora's eyes narrowed. Ivanari systems do not flicker, she said softly. Zarl growled. Someone's messing with the core. Elias didn't hesitate. Let's check it, he said. Already moving toward the command lift, they didn't wait for security or diplomats. Together, the three of them raced down to the lower decks. The maintenance level was empty, too empty. Leora scanned the systems, her fingers flying across. A crystal pad. There's a thermal spike near the fusion vents, she said. That's not normal. Zarl drew her blade, her instincts screaming. I smell explosives, she whispered. Elias found a small, blinking light hidden behind a panel. It was a bomb, advanced, silent, and near detonation. He stepped back, his heart pounding. If this goes off, it takes the entire station with it, he said. We need to disarm it, Leora said, already analyzing the signals. But the timer was locked with alien tech neither of them had seen before. No pattern, no code, she muttered. Zaral slammed her fist against the wall. Let me smash it, she said. That could set it off. Elias warned. Elias stared at the bomb, trying to think. Then he remembered the archive of Ivanor had taught him something strange. A way to reprogram emotion into logic. It was risky, but maybe it could work here. He pulled out his communicator and connected it to the bomb's signal receiver. He began uploading a waveform, not a code, but a melody, a soft tune, the same one. He played inside the ice garden, the one that awakened the archive. Leora stared at him. You're singing to the bomb? Kind of, he said. It's worth a try. The timer slowed, then blinked, then froze. Zarli held her breath. A soft chime echoed from the device, and it powered down. Silence filled the tunnel. Then Leora exhaled slowly. You just disarmed a bomb using music, she said. Amazed, Zarali smirked. You're crazier than I thought, Elias grinned. I'm just human. They returned to the upper levels just as the ceremony was about to begin. No one above knew how close. They had come to death, but Elias, Leora, and Zarali stood hand in hand, not just as a couple, but as defenders of peace. The commander of Unity Station called them to the center. He raised his voice to the crowd. These three have done something rare, he said. They've brought together fire and ice, instinct and logic, war and wisdom. Cheers erupted. Banners waved, and the first true union of peace was sealed not just by rings, but by courage. Far away, in the void of space, a shadow watched from a hidden ship. A voice crackled in an alien tongue. Plan failed. Another voice replied. We move to phase 2. We end the human next. And so the celebration began. But the danger had only just begun. Wives of the stars above Unity Station glowed brighter than ever. Ships from across the galaxy hovered nearby, broadcasting the celebration across dozens of worlds. For the first time in recorded history, the Ivanari and the Ravixi stood side by side, not in battle, but in honor. And at the center of it all stood a human. Captain Elias took a slow breath as the crowd hushed. He stood before a crystal altar shaped like a bridge, half forged from fire metal, half carved from Ivanari glass. This was not just a wedding. This was a symbol, a statement, a new beginning. Leora stepped forward first, her voice calm but full of quiet feeling. Logic guided me, but it was you who taught me to feel, she said. Placing a silver band on Elias's hand, you reminded my people that emotion is not weakness, but connection. Then came Zoral, bold and glowing like the sun. You stood with us, fought with us, bled for us, she said, locking her fingers with his. You proved that heart is stronger than any blade. Elias looked at them both, his voice low but steady. I never planned this, he said. But I found love in two places where no map could guide me. You changed me, and together we can change the galaxy. The station's commander raised his hand. Then, by the authority of Unity Station and the witness of the stars, I declare this bond sacred. You are joined not by species, but by choice. The crowd erupted into cheers. Fireworks lit up in space, and music from three worlds played together in harmony across the galaxy. Watchers saw something once believed impossible, a peaceful union born from conflict and held together by trust. Later that night, Elias stood on a balcony, gazing at the stars. Leora leaned on his right side, her soft fingers tracing a pattern. On his hand, Zarali leaned on his left, her warmth steady and strong like a flame. What happens now? Leora asked. We write a new story, Elias replied. One where fire and ice don't fight, they balance. Zarli grinned. And what if someone tries to tear that story apart? Then we write them out, Elias said with a wink. But even in that peaceful moment, far beyond the stars, a shadow moved. A hidden ship cloaked in silence drifted toward a distant system. Inside, strange figures stared at a screen showing Elias's face. He's the key. One voice whispered, the Uniter. The problem phase 2 begins. Another voice replied, let's see how strong love truly is. Back on Unity Station, Elias didn't know what was coming, but he smiled anyway. Holding his wives close, he had come to the stars for peace and found love, war, danger, and destiny. And now, with fire and crystal beside him, he was ready for whatever came next. Together, they were not just bonded, they were legend. They were the ones who proved that even in the cold of space, a human heart could warm to worlds. The end.